Welcome to another episode of the PoE Report, a podcast about all things Path of Exile 1 and 2, from myself, Dreamcore, and my co-host, Palstron. And we're just getting to the end of the first week of Path of Exile 2, Return of the Ancients. Pal, how you doing, dude?
Pretty good, man. It was quite a week, and or not even a week at this point. But I thought for the first episode I would invite a fellow build connoisseur, somebody else who's very curious. And so today we got Moxie. How's it going, man?
Good, very good. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Moxie. This patch is crazy, huge patch, very, very big compared to all the other patches that came before it, but also it's a very different patch. We've got, different marketing going on from GGG. They've done loads of videos explaining everything in depth. They even have shorts going on their YouTube. We've also got different things going on with the post-launch patches, with the things that they're actually changing. We're going to discuss that a little bit later on in the podcast. But I want to dive straight into the first impressions of this patch, because there's a lot going on, especially in regards to the endgame. Let's just go straight into it. Moxie, how are you finding the new patch?
It's been great. I think the work that they put into really improving the endgame and fleshing it out is paying off. There's genuinely so much to do at endgame. I'm overwhelmed, constantly getting pulled in different directions. I see one thing and set one objective for myself to go do something, and then something else pops up, or I need to go. People are telling me that this mechanic is really good, or this is dropping a ton of the currency, and then I pivot to that, and I still haven't finished my Atlas because I keep doing random stuff. I'm close, but I've been really, really enjoying the endgame. I think it's going to hold people's attention for a whole lot longer.
I feel like this patch is really great, and whenever I want to unlock something, I go to unlock something, somebody in my chat says how OP this other thing is, and now I'm getting drawn towards that. And it almost feels like the good kind of FOMO, and everybody thinks their build is OP, everybody thinks their strat is OP, and that's how you know it's a good league, right? That's how you know.
Yeah, it feels like there's so much different things you can be doing. I mean, earlier I was just playing Expedition for the first time, the new Expedition in this patch, and it's so good. I saw your video actually earlier about that, about the Expedition farming, and I gotta say, I've tried a few different mechanics. I played Breach quite a bit. That was mainly a familiarity thing, because I've already played it quite a bit in PoE 1, so that was kind of nice. I also kind of liked how they introduced the Breach mechanic as well, especially being a monk, right? The whole introduction to that was really, really quite cool. But the Expedition gameplay, for me, has topped everything else. It's just been... It's interesting, because I think Abyss is really, really fun, and it's been fun since they added it. And it feels like all the other mechanics were lagging behind, But now Expedition feels great, actually. The way they added Runes of Aldur into Expedition, really, really cool.
Yeah, both Expedition and Ritual are competitive, actually, with Abyss. And Breach currently has a problem that one node, you guys know that one node that you can't take? The one where you can sacrifice another Breach Stone when you use a Breach Stone to get extra modifiers. That one currently doesn't work. So juicing is kind of not really a thing right now. It's mostly just a tree. But what have you been farming, Moxie?
I was originally doing a lot of Abyss, and that was really good because so many monsters and just a fair bit of just raw currency, as well as desecrated currency still feels really good for crafting. So I've been making a lot of currency, just kind of crafting my own items, and then things that don't go well selling. But I just started yesterday trying to hardcore do Ritual, which has been pretty good so far.
How hard is it? Because I've heard you have to stack bosses, and you're in the middle of them. And do you have enough defenses for that, or are you running the normal version?
It's been fine. It could be a little sketchy. I am playing a hollow form Whirling Assault monk, and I insta-freeze just about everything. So I just stand in the middle of the circle, and all the bosses spawn, and they're all frozen, and then my guys are just spinning on them. So it hasn't been difficult farming, but there's a node that it's 50% increased chance to find belts when you do a certain amounts of rituals, and then there's a 100% increased chance to find the type of ritual that gives the belts, and then you just stack a ton of rerolls and tributes, and you're just clicking through 10 pages of ritual for relatively cheap, but just hunting for a mage butter head on her.
I think that's exactly what they were going for there with that, with the whole like unique thing. I do find it kind of interesting the way they've designed the lead mechanics to be really specific to one thing. Like we've got the whole breach, like craft your own jewelry, and then you have like very specialized jewelry going on as well there with different base types that you can't get anywhere else. And then over in Ritual, they've done
Expedition as well.
In Expedition,
give it with Expedition as well.
Yeah.
Right, like right now, a lot of the high tier Expedition currencies are really expensive, but I can tell you from experience that they are not that rare. Like it's just that most people do not run Expedition. Like you can farm a lot of them in like a day. So I will assume that they're going to go down over time, relatively, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've had the same experience with Expedition. Like I've barely been farming, and I've already found a bunch of stuff that's just like worth way more than it should be. I feel like
10 plus divines just like lying around on like an 8 rune reward or 7 rune reward. That's crazy. Yeah, it's insane.
Those feel great.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? The whole like sort of separating of really like the really specific rewards. Do you like that, or do you think that's something that might like become a bit of an issue going forward? Like having this kind of like really specialized. You know, the whole exclusivity of jewelry in Breach, for example, like with the bases that only come from there, the specialized mods that only come from there. Like, for example, I just found out earlier that the only way you can get Energy Shield on belt is from Breach, right? From as a caster modifier, you can craft a belt that has an Energy Shield prefix. So, yeah, that's I do find that kind of interesting as a design. I wonder if that's something that has like legs going forward, or whether that's something that's going to run into problems.
Have you been using any of you're playing spell totems, yeah, Palstron?
Yeah.
Have you been using any of the like brand new modifiers that you can get on rings and belts, or not really?
I want to craft a Giga Ring now. I want to save up and then mirror it with the Kalandra and just go ham. But nice. Belt is Mage Blood. Like belt doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Might as well not exist. I think you just remove it from the game at this point.
I think that's the problem with belts, though. Like they're just so bad. Like I think that's partly why they've added a lot of those other modifiers from Breach. But I am a little bit concerned of it being only from Breach. I do generally believe that the belt pool and probably some other modifiers, to be honest with you, and other gear as well, could do with being improved, because the belt is it's so bad. Like a baseline belt, like the stats that you can get on it. Yeah, you can get like, a lot of resists, and you can get strength, and you can get life and stuff like that. But there are particular builds that just feel so bad on the belt slot if you don't have if you can't get the Mage Blood, or if you're not using a Headhunter, then you just have this almost dead slot that just doesn't really do much.
It has no energy shield, right? It has no offensive stats. It has like resistance, life, and mana. That's literally all it has, right? Yeah, it's kind of bad. But to your question, I think stuff like Breach is fine, very specialized stuff, but the uniques, I'm not sure I like the ritual stuff, because I was finding uniques in other mechanics and they're just all watered down. Like they're worth nothing because everybody's printing them with ritual, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I like that. That's a really broad specialization.
Something else we got in this patch, which is crazy, is 2 new ascendancies, and Moxie, I believe you're playing one of them, the martial artist. Let's do a bit of discussion on builds. Moxie, what are you playing and how are you finding it?
So my original plan for a build didn't work out, mainly because the things that I thought were going to be in the patch weren't in the patch.
Is it the bell stuff?
Yeah, I wanted to do a whole bunch of bells, and then the node to build combo was kind of bugged on League Start, and then the node that they had in the patch notes, Overabundance 3, which was going to give you like doubled limit and apply curses. I was going to do some self-curse stuff. All not in the game. So yeah. I ended up doing Hollow Form Whirling Assault, which, like, from their gameplay showcase looked insane. And there's an interaction, I don't know if you've seen this or not, that allows your clones on hit to just give you power charges. You don't need to crit or anything like that.
The Loctaniel, the gloves, right? The gloves.
Yeah. So that's been like crazy. As soon as you put that together, you're like unbelievably strong. The tricky thing with the clones is that they don't interact with like most things. It's kind of awkward. So like if they kill something and you have mana on kill, you don't get mana on kill. If there's a node that you get like 18% increased area of effect if you've killed recently, and they're the ones killing things, you don't get that. So like actually figuring out all the things for it has been a lot of testing, but the build itself is so strong, so fun, and like really, really flashy. You just constantly have these monks just spinning and hitting the entire screen. And I'm using one of the new uniques, the Vestige of Darkness, which is super cool. While you have this on, you are like haunted by the Bodak, and he comes on your map and like slams things and hits things. And I was like, I wonder how much damage he's doing. And I died on a T15 boss at the very beginning, and I watched the Bodak solo it. Just boom, 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 dead. So the damage of the thing is like not insignificant, and it auto blinds everything in your presence, and all of your physical damage that you do contributes to chill magnitude and freeze buildup. So I'm just stacking a bunch of physical, and I insta-freeze everything. And then I'm using the nodes on the tree that you get ignore resistances or treated as like 0 resistances when you freeze things. I've got no Rakiatas, but I don't need like Ellie Pen because I freeze quickly on Fizz. And then I've got the like 50% increased damage to frozen enemies, and I'm pairing that with some more tech that I've been using with like Kalgur and stuff yesterday. That's crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen this. You probably heard about Refutation. Gives you the parry, and you inflict 50% more damage on enemies that you parry. And then there's an idol that enemies you parry, your critical hits are lucky. So I've got like built-in Garakons kind of with a 50% multiplier and insta-freeze on these enemies, and it's just the damage is getting a little silly.
Jesus.
It's really fun.
Wait, so that helmet looks really cool. I have it up on period 2DB right now. So does it attack like frequently, and what's the AoE? Like how
It does, so it's got multiple different attacks. It does like a one-handed kind of like walk slam that does like a little bit of AoE, and then it does this like two-handed slam that is like actually like most of the screen that does pretty good damage. And like I don't think you could like really build around it. I don't think that there's like, it's not like a skill gem or anything that you could like scale from my testing.
Like, does it scale off of you, or is
I think it gets your weapon. I think it's benefiting from your weapon because it was doing some damage and now it's doing a lot of damage because I'm at like I'm also using a new Kalgurin quarterstaff, which has been super cool. Duality. Yeah,
Duality.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Crazy.
That's really, really strong. There's a lot of damage on that quarterstaff as well.
Yeah.
There's a Runeforged version as well, right? Do you use that?
Yes. So, yeah, I use the Runeforged version. So when you get the quarterstaff, the price on it has gone crazy, but you can get like a stone, a starlit ore. It's a huge rock. You put it into the Reforged bench or the Kalgurin bench, and it gives you the Duality quarterstaff, which is a really cool quarterstaff. And then when you Runeforge it, it keeps all of its stats. So it doesn't like divine the item. If you get like a max damage one, which it rolls up to like 300 Fizz, it keeps that. And then it Runeforges it with 3 different outcomes. You either get 50% more damage on the weapon, 50% more crit chance on the weapon, or 50% more attack speed. And so you can get this thing to like over 1,000 DPS with crit damage, and it comes with this like guard and combo built in that like anytime you use combo you get like 1,000 guard, which is crazy. So that's been really, really fun. It's super cool that like there's actually like a unique that is really good through this new like rune forging system.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got to say
that. So I was
go on. No, you go.
I was just gonna say I was playing Totems, spell Totems. I was gonna play Spark at first. I think we talked about that before League started, Moxie. I don't remember, but I was gonna League start Spark, and then I noticed that you can use ward skills on spell Totems, and they don't use any ward, so they could just cast them for free. So there's this new skill called Grim Pillars, which is completely busted. It like puts down these pillars, and it is ice crystals, right? Ice crystal mechanic. So you can explode it over and over. So you put down an entangle, and then the entangle just perma pops them, and the totems just spam the Grim Pillars over and over. And it does like, I don't know, 10 times the damage of Spark or something. It's
really
the only downside is sometimes they block you away, right, with the ice pillars, because the totems just cast anywhere. But so you have to often hit entangle to get through.
Are they like ice crystals? Like, do they scale with
Yes.
like ice crystal health? Okay.
They're ice crystals. Yeah, exactly. You can reduce the ice crystal health, but you still have to press a button, right? Like that's not the problem. Because you can put frostbite support on entangle, and it automatically pops. It consumes freeze, which pops the ice crystals. So my entangle is level 1. It doesn't matter. It automatically pops them. Yeah,
That's pretty sick.
so that's been going pretty wild. But yeah, what about you, Dreamcore?
Well, I planned to start a martial artist. I did start a martial artist. I was going to be doing some bone shatter tech, which didn't go as planned because basically my testing, I done some testing like before the launch, and the whole build concept was to hit the bell with bone shatter, which is obviously going to cause a heavy stun, but then it's always a crit. And I done some testing before with like how crit interacts with like the aftershock that comes after it, and I basically took the wrong information from that testing. That it would be a crit when I hit the bell, right, with bone shatter, which is not how it works. Because what happens is your attack roll is still your own attack roll, right? And the attack that hits the bell is automatically counted as a crit. It basically changes the crit on that side of the calculation rather than interacting with your own attack. So that was on me. Like I just took the wrong information from my testing, so that just didn't end up working at all. And basically that was the build done right then and there for me, because the whole idea of that build was going to be building crit damage bonus without scaling crit, because I'm using a mace, right? So it's just a non-starter. Cool idea, but I think there is probably something there that you could do with a lot of currency with maces on the martial artist, but not a league starter. So
Like Nebulok stuff and whatnot?
yeah, you can definitely do something interesting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I re-rolled at the end of day 2, and I'm playing another monk. I'm playing Acolyte of Chayula this time because I wanted to try out the Archon of Chayula, which is like a new skill that they've added to that ascendancy. It's hidden away. You can't take it straight away. You don't even see it on your ascendancy until you've completed the Breach questline, and then Chayula comes out and grants you the ability to become his Archon, which is pretty cool. And then you can spec into it on the tree, and I actually had my points already saved and ready to go, so I just got straight into there. It's a really fun skill actually to use. You use it, you basically become Archon for like 10 seconds, you get 20% more chaos and fizz damage, and you're spawning these tornadoes around you. Every 3 seconds you get this like chaos tornado. It converts some fizz damage to chaos, and it just moves towards enemies and hits them. But it lasts. Here's the interesting thing: you can't change the interval, right, that it spawns. It's always 3 seconds, but it lasts for 8 seconds, and that scales with duration. So you can do some interesting duration scaling. I actually done a bit of theorycraft. I could probably get up to about 25 seconds fairly easily.
Does it stay around you if you keep moving? Does it come back to you?
Or? I think if there's no enemies near you, it'll just move in a random position. But if there's enemies, it will go towards them. It always chases down enemies and starts to hit them. And actually has.
It's not like minions that it comes back to you when you're off screen or something.
No, I don't think it moves back to you. They just move randomly around when there's no enemies. I did look on PoEDB though. There's a little stat. Like those little stats you can see that are pulled up that are not actually in the gems. That's where you found that information about the totem, right?
The brackets.
That has like a little line which is like more movement speed when it's chasing an enemy. So it has it speeds up as it accelerates towards an enemy and sort of gets to them faster, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I've been playing around with that. It only lasts for 10 seconds and it has a 20-second lockout. But you can get a anoint that's brand new in this patch. It's called Dominion. And it completely removes the lockout period. It's gone, entirely.
Yeah.
And it makes the buff effect 50% less, or 50% reduced, I think it is. So the buff isn't actually that strong. So this is actually really, really good combination with that. And that's kind of what I'm kind of theory crafting and prepping for a new build. I'll discuss that a little bit now, because the build that I'm playing right now is a bit boring, right? I'm playing Gas Grenade on Chayula. It's nothing new, right? I'm just playing Poison Gas Grenade. I love Gas Grenade so much. The mechanics of it are great. And I really like it for stuff like Abyss and that, because you can just lob the grenades on top of the Abyss. Everything's poisoned as soon as it comes out. It's great. But what I'm theory crafting around right now is strength stacking on Acolyte of Chayula with dual wielding Brutus Lead Sprinkler. So the idea of this build is that the tornadoes proc Brutus Lead Sprinkler because they deal attack damage. So if you just have a bunch of these tornadoes just going all over the place, you're just going to have all of these balls flying out of the tornadoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
very cool.
that's the plan
crazy.
right now, and I've been kind of
auto
theory
bomber,
crafting it.
no button basically, right?
It's literally going to be no button. So here's the thing: the mechanics of the skill is that it's a glory skill, right? It gains glory when you hit targets with chaos damage, or when you inflict a chaos damage debuff on targets based on their monster power. So if you hit a boss with chaos damage, you get 20 power. It only needs 100 to use. But the tornadoes themselves can give you the glory as long as because they're not the skill, right? They're a trigger from the skill. Because the way our glory works is you can't usually gain glory on a skill with itself. If you deal damage with Hammer of the Gods, for example, you don't get glory for that skill again. But because the tornadoes,
did you test that works?
Yep,
because there's some trick. Okay, it works.
Yeah, it works. So because the tornadoes are triggered from the Archon skill and they're not actually the skill itself, they gain glory for the skill. So once I have a bunch of duration scaling, I'm just going to be able to walk around with the tornadoes. They're going to gain me glory, and I just press the skill again every time. Which, I think that's going to be a pretty fun build. I haven't started playing it yet, by the way. Just a disclaimer: it could be terrible. Okay, it could be.
Right, I'm buying up all the items right now.
Yeah,
I'm buying up everything.
It could be absolutely.
Give me a shopping list.
It could be really bad, but I'm quite excited for it because as soon as I saw Bruce's Lead Spring get teased, I was like, that looks really cool. But then I immediately thought, damn, it's a mace, and there's just tons of terrible mace abilities. And
there's no good mace ability.
The only real option you have is Molten Blast, right? Because it's a projectile skill, so you want to
Molten Blast is terrible.
It is.
Yeah,
it is terrible.
Because it moves you backwards. You can't cast it while moving. It has a different move. It's like Sunder. It's terrible. But it's actually worse because it moves you even backwards. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. If that was if Brutus was like a spear, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely recommend checking that out, the Archon skill, because it's very, very fun to play with. Just generally, I would say that not investing in it's a bit weak. Just generally speaking,
does it have skill gem slots that you can put in a tornado, or are they just for the buff?
It's one set of slots for the Archon skill, and they affect the tornado. So and then of course you can get stats for example, the Archon doesn't scale with buff duration like normal skill effect duration. You have to get Archon duration specifically. There are some nodes they added to the tree. I don't know if you guys saw, they added a bunch of new Archon nodes on the tree as well. So yeah, there are some really nice buffs for it though. There's a notable up at the top right of the tree now that grants 20% all elemental resistances and 10% movement speed while you have an Archon buff. So I'm going to have that all the time, that's pretty nice.
Have you looked at all at I think it's called Takati's Ire for that setup?
The poison stuff?
Yeah, I wanted to make a build with that last
is that the rage, the faster rage damage?
Yeah, it's faster rage it's 2 faster poison per 1 rage. So if you're a monk, you should be able to build rage pretty easily, and then way more poison damage.
Yeah, that is a really interesting gem. The whole, because you can get so much rage shading in this game. I think on my last league on my bear, I must have had 60 or 70 max rage or something without even really investing much into it. So. Yeah,
rubies also give +2 instead of +1 now, so you could go Adorn setup with +2 on each jewel.
Yeah, jewels got really strong this patch. They added a lot of stuff for jewels, right? You can get max res.
They're so easy to craft. With the distillations and stuff, they're so easy to craft. I had 4-stat jewels everywhere on day 2, I think. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you guys got your eyes on any different builds as your next, if you're kind of coming to the end of your starter? Moxie, are you thinking of re-rolling soon, or are you still progressing?
There is one build that I was thinking about doing. I'd be curious, a little cautious about increasing the price of them before I start doing it. But
same here. Same here.
There's a lot of gloves that are really cool in the martial artist Stonefist node, and I was originally thinking about playing Ice Shot on martial artist, putting down bells with Ice Shot with an interaction that allows them to do a lot of shotgun damage, and I was kind of thinking that might be dead, but I've been placing every unique glove that I've been trying in the martial artist glove node, and there is one that is literally perfect for Ice Shot. and kind of invalidates potentially like using Deadeye. Honestly, it looks insane. So I think might try that next.
What do you think you'd go with that on the Ascendancy though? Like I actually looked at that Ascendancy quite a bit for like range based stuff, and it was really hard to, because I guess you take like the runes, right? You get like the body runes, and you have the glove slot.
Yeah. I've been really liking the auto spawning bells, hollow focus. Those have been really nice. With the whirlwind stuff, unfortunately, since like all of your damage you can't get mana on kill or anything like that from them, or so many other things. The gloves, the Lockatonials, the reason mana on kill is so like tough to get is because the Lockatonials give you no mana leech. So I've needed a way to like auto kill things that isn't whirlwind. And so I've been using a like armor explosion, armor break thing on the bells, which give you tons of power charges. Right now you can like devour the bells with the devour skill with the dragon, and if you spec a ton of duration, there's all the like nodes that give you like blazing crit and thrill of the kill that all get scaled by duration if you devour the bells. So they're like a ton of utility, ton of damage, you get tons of buffs from them, and they're like constantly proccing. So I'd probably do bells, the two like combo nodes, and then Stone Fist. Or
so you said
potentially
earlier,
tattoos.
So, sorry, you said earlier that the combo nodes were bugged. Are they still bugged, or what was the bug?
So a lot of things just weren't proccing combo on them. I haven't gone back and retested it, but like for example with Ice Shot, only the initial projectile was proccing combo, which probably should be that works. Like you don't get combo on any of the like darts that go out. I thought at the time it was bugged. I guess now what I know, or knowing what I know now, probably makes sense. But I was hoping that the hollow form spinning guys would give you combo because they're an attack, they're a hit. That doesn't work.
But they're not
that
you.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually tested quite a bit on the, like, before I re-rolled. I basically, like, after my build was pretty much dead, I spent a bunch of time just testing a bunch of mechanics on the martial artists. So I thought, well, there's got to be some cool stuff here, right? And I was testing, like, for example, I tested Nebulog. Like, it spends an endurance charge when you use Hollow Form, but the things don't crit. So I think it's because the skill is an attack. So you're using it's like got an attack tag on it. So you're technically using a channeled attack, but you're not actually doing the attack. So they don't inherit the crit, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I tested quite a few things with the Hollow Form. For example, I was looking at did you guys see the hammer throw skill? I can't remember what it's called. You know the mace skill where you throw the hammer in the ground and you walk right.
Shield. Do you mean the shield?
No, the shield. No. You like throw your mace into the ground, then you walk right, and it creates like a circular fissure on the ground.
Yeah. Normal skill. Yeah.
The clones can use that. They can just throw the hammer out. It's a cooldown skill, right? But the trouble is, they count towards your maximum limit on fissures. So when you explode the hammers, you only get the maximum that you would normally get anyway. Which, to be fair, it is more than you would usually have because it's a cooldown skill anyway, right? You're only going to have the one, but it's still only two on a baseline. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff going on there. I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on in the other new Ascendancy, the Spirit Walker. I just see there's just monkeys rampaging around, one-shotting things. That monkey has 25% base crit.
Insane.
I don't know how does that number get it into the game. I have no idea, but I
think they were scared that it wouldn't be playable. Also, because so many of the biggest streamers were like, "Oh, I'm gonna play that." Like, imagine they all play it and they have to reroll, so they had to make it stronger, probably, just to compensate and make it so it's definitely gonna work out, right? Because it's probably pretty hard to do the math on how much damage it actually deals when it's well geared and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, while we're talking about builds, one of the things that has been introduced in this patch is Runic Ward, and Runic Ward seems to have pretty huge impact on quite a few builds. PoW, for example, is playing like a skill that uses Runic Ward, technically, but not really. But it's still a Runic Ward skill, and it's really quite impactful, and there's quite a few mechanics as well there, like Moxie was saying earlier, the skill where you just kind of get your full 100% block, which is kind of ridiculous. There's loads of skills there. How are you guys finding Runic Ward in this patch? Moxie, what are your thoughts on the Runic Ward mechanic?
It was kind of what I was expecting to happen. Is like I just didn't touch the mechanic for the first few days. I didn't understand it, and I was looking at some things that didn't seem that great for like the investment. But there are like workarounds, like Palstron was saying, and the skill that I'm using requires literally one runic ward. Like you don't need more than you just need some runic ward to work.
It just scales the duration or something, right? Like it just counts the duration. Like it gives you extra duration if you had more ward.
You get like extra stun threshold.
Oh, stun threshold. Sorry,
yeah. So like technically it's still helpful, but not necessarily needed. I'm not like clicking it in like a big pack of enemies. It's just like on like a boss, get hit once and then go. But the one thing I don't like about it is the amount of like defenses that you have to sacrifice in order to actually get into it. Because there's some cool things that you could do with it. And there's some definitely cool tech, but all the things that, at least from what I've seen, are not like investing heavy into like runic ward regeneration and like getting tons of flat runic ward. It's just like using a tiny little bit to get a fairly large benefit for the investment without like sacrificing too much of your defenses.
I feel like nobody really uses them how they're supposed to be used. They're just cheesy. Because I don't think GG was thinking, oh, you're going to have one ward and now you're unkillable for X duration, right? Like, that was probably not intended. And my totems, I mean, it makes sense, by the way, because totems also have no mana and they spam normal spells. So it's not a bug, right? But also, that was probably not something they thought would happen. Because Grim Pillars, dude, that shit with support costs like over 100 ward each. And my totems are just spamming it like 4 times a second. So, I don't think so. But what you said is true. And I really thought that they would make it so in endgame you just get ward for free. I didn't know it would take away so much energy shield and armor. And they had a weird thing where the early game gear actually did not... There was gear that did not subtract armor or evasion or energy shield. It just gained ward. But then come end game, so they're trying to have kind of a tutorial where they show you how it works. But then in end game, it works completely different. And it's, by the way, it's similar with the recipes from the League mechanic, because early on they show you, oh, you have to do the quest lines to do the recipes. And then in end game, you don't have to unlock anything. All the recipes are just open. Like, people first thought you have to find a mirror recipe or you have to find the Hindakora's Lock recipe. Not the case. The way it works is you get it once and then it's in your recipe book. So it's also the other way around. So a lot of the tutorials are really weird. But on the runic ward stuff, other than the cheese that we just talked about, it's not really all that great as a conventional defense mechanism, I feel like. And that's a little bit of a bummer. I will say though, I rune forged a tabby today, a tabula rasa, and it gains 100 ward, which is pretty crazy for level 1, I'm not gonna lie. So that's hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. It's okay, I think.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little bit disappointed with how Runic Wards turned out in this patch. I do hope they kind of go back to it a little bit and try to make it more of what they were discussing that it would be. Because one thing that is kind of weird for me is how they talked about how you can upgrade the uniques, like lower level uniques in the bench. I can't tell you how many uniques I've put into that bench, and they're actually just worse on the other side. Like, for example, one of the first ones that I looked at was Widow's Reign, because I was talking about that a lot pre-patch, right? It's the Dissolution of the Flesh armor, if you know that item, Moxie, from PoE 1, where it's like, whenever you take damage and you lose life, it gets reserved instead. So, and then you need to wait for a certain amount of time before it gets completely unreserved. And that item in PoE 2 just has no place at all. You can't use it because there's no other interacting mechanics. But the whole idea of it combining with like a big chunk of ward under your life would be really cool. So I put that into the bench, right? And I'm like expecting this armor to be quite good on the other side. It literally lost like 50 armor and evasion, right? And it's already got a really low amount. It lost that and only gained like 40 ward. And I'm like, this is like a level 30 body armor, right? And the upgrade just wasn't there at all. And I looked at a lot of items. For example, the Prayers of Keth body armor, which is one that a bunch of people were talking about before this patch went live. Khan was like a big part in that, because he was talking about how, you could do the whole combo tech to basically have permanent recharge all the time that just can't be stopped. Put that in there. That doesn't. I don't think it gets like no energy shield upgrade at all. It just gets nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to feel about this, because they kind of described it as, this is a way that we're going to make these weaker uniques become usable in the endgame and make you want to actually use them in your build. And they have some really cool mechanics on them as well. Like, I want to use these uniques, man. They're so cool. But I can't. I can't use them. They're just terrible. Like, and they're not better in the Runeforging bends. They need to be like 4 times as good as they are, right? Like, literally. Like, that body armor that I was just talking about there, I think it has like 300 armor and 300 evasion. It needs like 1,000 at least of each, and then it might start being useful. But even beyond that, like the whole concept of that, you need to be able to get enough runic ward under your life, right? I feel like you can't really get enough of it without making those huge trade-offs.
They don't give us enough. I think they're also really scared, because if they make it too strong, all of a sudden you have a second energy shield situation, right? So they're like... And also, you don't really need much recovery for it, because it almost never gets used up. So you could just kind of chilling on it. And it even recovers while your life is up again, right? Like, it's just so good. In theory.
It's an interesting mechanic, I think, overall. And maybe they'll look at it a bit more going forward. But it's definitely... It doesn't feel like it's done what they wanted it to. It's like you said, it's more like there's just a bunch of cheese stuff going on at the moment. There's like some really OP ones, and
Speaking of being a little scared to make things OP, I've been a little disappointed in the I forget the like actual name for it, but the mechanic where you can like use an orb to turn a unique into a rune and then socket that rune. A lot of there are some powerful ones. There are some definitely powerful ones, but some of the like uniques that have like really interesting lines, the rune doesn't grab the like really interesting line. It grabs something that's like kind of random. One of the ones that I was really excited for, probably would have been too strong, but like the Ironbound bow has like your projectiles return to you if they're hitting an armor broken enemy, which is insane. Would be so cool. But the like node that it grabs, for example, is like you get some flat fizz per block chance.
Very low flat fizz as well, like lower than on the bow.
Yeah. So it's like, like there was a lot of like cool, like potentially like really build enabling things that those runes are just grabbing, like more so like generic percentage increases to stuff or like survivability.
I totally agree. And also that rune is so rare. I'm farming Expedition nonstop for 2 days. I just got my first one. It's like 70 divines or something. I just got my first one. It's a 10 recipe. And the funny thing is you have to decide between it and so I don't know if you guys saw that, but you can actually get quest rewards. So there's like +1 passive point, 5% max life, 10 spirit, or something else. Life and mana, I think. And you have to choose between one of those, and another choice that you always get is the legacy. So it's like either you take a passive point or whatever you want permanent on your character, or you take 70 divines. It's really weird. I wish they would make it so you just get it, because it's like it's really hard to say no to 70 divines. But back to your point, I totally agree, because the 2 best ones that I've seen on the rune is you cannot be slowed and 10% move speed if you have full life. Those were like the best ones that I've seen, and all the other ones are so toned down, as you said, or not build defining. That's like, okay, physical damage is pinning. Okay, that's cute, but like, I mean, come on, like we could have had some great, like we could have had the body
70
armor.
Divines too.
Yeah, exactly. For 70 divines, yeah, and we could have had like I don't know the body armor that gives Iron Will and Iron and like the Strength Stacker body armor, right? That people are using.
People talking about that, yeah, that would have been crazy.
Stuff like that. I mean, there's so many amazing things that they could have done. And then it's like, oh, now, I'm willing to pay 70 divines because it's a build around. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to farm for that, sure. But now it's like, okay, I'm going to spend 70 divines once I'm already done with my build to get 10% move speed. Is that like, I mean, I guess, sure.
Yeah. You also got to make sure that if you're socketing that into a piece of gear, that gear is really good, that you're never going to replace if it's like...
But wasn't there an item? I think they added an item where you can destroy
an
item and get the socketable back.
Yeah.
So if the item is like 10, 20 divines, you would still just destroy it to get your thing back in. Yeah.
It still feels bad. You know, you just talked about iron. That was actually in the list, that item, right? The strength stacking.
Yes.
It was in the list, and then it's not in the patch. right? There's no. Where is it? Where's it gone? Did they just did they like dispatch it right before the patch because it was too strong? I don't know. Like, I assume it was going to give you like a toned down version of the strength stacking stuff, and maybe they realized that by doing that, like, strength stackers are going to use the body armor and then put it in there, and they're just going to be even stronger.
Plus Brutus, yeah.
And
then they can use the chest that gives you 30% plus strength, right? Instead, and it would have gone crazy. I mean, probably, but what do you expect from like one of the most hyped items? That's what I expected. I'm like, okay, if I'm paying that much of a premium, I mean, sure, that's what I want to have there. It's like the biggest reward in Expedition. It's like not as rare as a Mira or a Hinakora's Lock, but almost. So.
Oh, wow.
I do find it kind of funny though, like what Moxie was just talking about there, about how like the mods that they chose are kind of the ones that you absolutely wouldn't expect. Like they added Facebreaker to the list right before the patch went live, and it's the armor one, right?
Yeah.
It's like +1 armor or whatever it is per strength or something like that. Like, of all the mods, you could have had interesting ones on there, like the strength scaling for unarmed damage and stuff like that could have been kind of interesting on different pair of gloves, but no, you just get some flat armor. I mean, but there definitely are some strong ones in there, like I think it's 25% chance for Aftershocks is a pretty strong one for two-handed maces. That one's quite strong. You can like pair that up with the 10% that came in this patch, so there's some stuff there, but not many people are playing maces, I think, at the moment, so. Yeah, I find that's one of those items that they clearly added it as like, here's this super crazy endgame chase that you can just go for. Is going to be
but like take last league, they brought a Vaal cultivation orb. How cool was that item? Like, that was such a cool. Like, there's so many cool effects and build arounds all of a sudden, and this one is just like so plain and so vanilla. I was really disappointed.
I mean, I was going to bring that up because the Vaal cultivation orb, they kind of went crazy with that, the way it can just remove any modifier and replace it, right? That's what I thought they were going to do with this. I thought they were just going to say stuff it. You can have any modifier, but it's random, right? And maybe it's even weighted.
They could have made it RNG, right? They could have made it RNG, and then it's
crazy.
That would be insane.
I thought that'd just be really cool because they already kind of did that with the Vaal cultivation ones there, but not to be. All right, so we've had some patches since the launch, and one of the really interesting topics right now is exactly what is being patched in these kind of like post-launch updates, right? So ever since 0.1, we had this thing that happened in the first couple of weeks where a bunch of builds got nerfed, right? Big time nerfed. And it was like the nerf where the build is completely dead, pretty much. Like you log in the next day and you're re-rolling a new character because your build just doesn't work anymore, right? And there was a pretty big reaction to that, a pretty negative reaction overall. And after that, they kind of changed their stance on how they would do these nerfs after launch, where it's kind of like more of a, okay, we might do minor nerfs to things here and there, but nothing that's going to like completely break someone's build. Like, if something's strong, it's going to stay strong, basically. And we've actually seen the effects of that in some patches. Like, for example, in 0.4, the temple was just completely out of control, but they kind of just left it in the end, right? And it's the case with some builds that have just been really strong in previous patches. But in this patch, we're seeing some pretty crazy nerfs coming out immediately out of the gate. So, there was a Flicker Strike Gemling build, which could get up to 100% chance to not spend charges, but still count as spending them, right? So you could just basically have a charge and then never use it. So you could just go flying all over the place. And I think they said that they didn't really like that because you basically couldn't get hit by monsters. So they weren't happy with that. So they capped it. It's now capped at 75%. That was a post-league nerf. I want to kind of do a bit of discussion here with you guys about this kind of change in stance. Is this something that's come about because 1.0 is approaching and they want to be like, they want to change how they're going to do things going forward? Moxie, how do you feel about the post-league nerfs?
I mean, it seems like if things are like, there's a lot of things that are really strong in the game. Those they're not really touching. It's like Flicker killing the entire map in one flicker while basically being immune. I like kind of get them touching on. I think the idea of having 100% not or zero, you can't consume charges while you're flickering is awesome. Like, that's obviously super cool. What a cool like build fantasy to just like doop, right through the map and kill everything. But I would rather them do them quickly and abruptly than like let these ideas come up, people farm for the gear, get all these things going, and then have nerfs like, week 2, week 3 or anything like that. So if they're going to do changes, I would rather them just do it quick. Obviously, if you're playing that build, huge bummer, definitely frustrating, but 75% chance to still not consume charges is still cool. You maybe click one button to get all your power charges with like an A-list in between, and then you're just back to flickering. So it's not like the build is dead or they killed the damage. You just like, you might need to click like 1 or 2 more buttons in between packs.
I agree. And also, I don't think they have the time right now to screw around, because usually I would say, they should just leave it for like a league and then they nerf it next league. That's usually my stance, because just let them have fun and then afterwards take it away. But they just don't have time, right? Like we have 2 more resets, I'm assuming, 2 to 3 more resets until 1.0, and then it's gone. So if they don't do everything they can right now, because there's going to be new problems next patch, and then there's going to be new problems again. So they have to address it right now. So I think in this situation, it's fine. I would hope so that when 1.0 comes around, I would really hope that they get their crap together, right? And maybe focus a little bit more on catching those before league start. It's also weird right now. The community is so weird, where like people were looking at me testing Grim Pillars on day 1 and it looked fantastic, and immediately everybody's reaction from everywhere was like, nerf this, please nerf this, that's crazy. And it's like, dude, like what isn't that what we're supposed to find? Isn't that like it's such a weird mentality. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, in some cases you just have to. I get it.
Yeah, I do find it kind of interesting that they've changed their stance on this. I think it's probably in preparation for 1.0. They want to kind of set the tone that this is what they're going to do. Like if there's these crazy outliers, they are going to have to come in and step in and change it. Because it does feel like one of those games where if there's something that is really out of line, that is kind of where everybody just flocks to it, right? It doesn't matter whether it's an out of line build or it's an out of line farming strategy. Everyone just goes and does it. So it was the same with the Temple. And in the Temple, we're actually getting another patch here coming into the game. Just, 2 days ago? We had a patch. I think Fubgun was like preparing to do a new farming strategy, right? And then GGG are just like, nope, you're not doing it, right? They just come straight in and they nerf it, and they're not having that same situation again with the Temple from last patch.
What happened was Milky made a video about it.
Yeah.
And he streamed it for like over a day, and already had most things, let's say, figured out. And then somebody linked it to Fubgun or whatever. I mean, they're buddies, right? And then all of a sudden he wanted to do Temple, and then it's like game over. But that's like a content creator problem, right? Like that shouldn't really concern anybody. It's just really annoying to have to do this spiel where you constantly hide what you have planned. It's like it's us against the devs kind of deal, and it's weird. But it is what it is, right? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's been an issue in previous leagues. I've never seen it this bad in the, like, builds and updates that I'm posting for, like, people scalping content creators. Like, for example, mana is a problem on my build, but it's solved with this one node called, like, I think it's Well of Power, where every time you consume a power charge, you get 5% of your mana back. And so you can anoint that on your amulet, or you can use a Mind Over Matter to grab it. And like, there's a bunch of really good nodes around it. And I bought my Mind Over Matter from nothing for 2 divines. I put it in a video. That night, they were all gone. Every single one. Someone purchased every single one and listed one at a time for 90 div each. Like, that's insane. Stuff like that is crazy to me. I'm really glad that sorry, that was a little bit off topic, but I am really glad that they ended up nerfing Temple. I think Temple's just going to be a problem for them.
Yeah.
Where it's like this thing where, like, I feel like you need the most amount of time and investment to make it worthwhile, because a lot of these other mechanics you can kind of just jump into. You get your points, you can kind of just like go into it, and I can start running a juiced up Breach or Abyss with whatever. Temple, like, to get it to like really start printing stuff, really need to spend a lot of time, setup, a lot of prep, and then like that needs to be worth something. But if it's worth too much, then it's a problem. But like finding that balance, I feel like is always going to be a little bit of a struggle for them, because if it's not worth spending 60 hours setting up a temple, then no one's going to do it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've created a little bit of an issue with the amount of time and investment it takes to do temple versus like how profitable it can be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's the issue, because people are going to grind it out regardless if it ends up making them more currency, and then people are going to have FOMO. And I really hope they find a good place, because one of the biggest issues is that it gets nerfed mid-league, because you do all this work, right? Like you do the 60-hour work that you just said, and then it just gets nerfed because FUB plays it, right? It's like, okay, well, I'll see myself out, I guess, like never again kind of deal. So yeah, they just have to find a place where it's not too OP. Maybe make it less about quantity and like actually dropping divines, and more about like special items that you find. And that way, if too many people do temple, those items are going to go down because there's too many on the market. That would probably be the best solution. They do that with other mechanics. It's like the same with ritual. Everybody's running ritual, and all of a sudden nothing is worth anything other than Headhunter and Mageblood, right? So like even Laviangas was down to like 60 exalts on day 2. Like what? Because I guess the flasks overlap with the belts, right, on the reroll or something.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that kind of figures itself out. Or runes, like they're just gonna go down and down and down. The more people are gonna play Expedition. Aldur's Legacy was on 200 divines or something, and yet now it's like 70 divines. So that could kind of help.
What's that?
That's the rune we talked about earlier that takes Aldur's Legacy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It takes the stat from an item, yeah.
But that's how I thought they were going to lean into it like that, like you were just saying there, because that's exactly what they did in PoE 1 with the temple, and it always made sense. It always made sense that you could farm temple to get these things that you can't get anywhere else, like the double corruption chamber, things like that. They've got all of those already in PoE 2. They've got all of the interesting items that you actually want to have. So I would just make it so that you can actually get those like in a more guaranteed way. It's like, okay, I'm going to build my temple out and I'm getting this one thing, and then it's going to be worth my time doing it because that thing is worth like 2 or 3 divines, and I'm going to go in there and get it, right? That's
that way you can build that machine.
Yeah,
that way you can build that machine that spits out of that currency. But then once it's not worth it anymore, you can move on, instead of, oh, I made this machine and it's generating me hundreds of divines, which is like just too strong, and you're going to destroy the economy. So yeah. And they even said that, right? Like you said earlier, they did that with Ritual and Uniques. They did that with Expedition and Runes. So it just would fit perfectly into that whole theme.
Also, yeah, I feel like it just generally, it doesn't make that much sense, because I think they're trying to make it so that you can farm whatever you want and feel good about it. And right now it's like, temple is just, I'm building the temple, I'm building the temple, I'm building the temple, and then you're like eventually getting to it, right? All of the other mechanics feel more like jump in and just sort of go. So yeah, I definitely like to see them make some changes there. I think the temple was always a little bit of a weird one. I'm not really sure. I think they went a little bit too much in depth of the whole like building out, and less like about just let's make a mechanic that people are going to enjoy, just quickly building a temple that's going to be rewarding. Because
I think it's fine though. Like honestly, building your own thing, I think that's a cool mechanic. It's just, as long as they balance it correctly, it's like different, right? It takes you out of that whole, like, I don't want Temple to just become Rush Aziri and go out, right? Like that would be, I think, the worst case scenario, personally.
Yeah. One last thing I want to discuss in this podcast, just going back to the whole like mid-league nerfs thing, is obviously they nerfed gemling, and they've done this by like capping the thing, right, with the not being able to consume charges. So they capped it at 75%. Do you think this is like I find it, I mean, obviously this is a bit of sort of a knee-jerk reaction because this has come out of nowhere. They didn't really expect it to happen, right? And now it's happened. Do you guys think this is like a good way to solve these sort of things? Is this like something that they're going to do? Because PoE 2 does seem to have quite a lot of these things where it's like something gets capped and this is like how much you can get of it and that's it. You're like forcefully stopped, rather than kind of balancing the top end so that it's, it feels good to invest into it, but you can invest as much as you want, and maybe at some point you're going to invest in something else. Do you like these like hard stops, or do you think it's like it should be something where, because it doesn't feel very PoE to me. where you're just being told no, that's all you can have. Moxie, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't love that aspect of it, because usually a lot of PoE builds are you take one very specific thing and just push it to its limits. You're like really min-maxing on a certain mechanic or a certain thing. So having that hard cap is difficult. I can't say I know too much about quality stacking, like how hard or how much investment does it take to get to that much quality. I'm not super familiar with it. So like, if you need like ridiculous amounts of gear to get that amount of quality to get that 100%, then like obviously I think that is like a little bit weird on that end. But if it's relatively easy to get 100%, not consume charges and be infinite or immune and one shot the entire map with a single skill, then I could see that being more of a problem. So I do think like part of it has to do with like, is it like mirror tier gear to be able to do something like that, or is it something that's like relatively achievable for your like average player?
Yeah, honestly, I feel weird about it, because when you said earlier, Moxie, I think you said they shouldn't be TPing around the map and just like clearing everything. And I was thinking of Temporalis, right? I was like, that item is still in the game, and it's still completely bonkers. The most OP item in the game. You have stuff like Headhunter, which once you put it on, some content just gets completely invalidated, right? Like anything that stacks a lot of rares. So my thought is, if that's fine, why isn't that other stuff fine? And the answer I come back to is, like you just said, if it takes mirror tier gear, I think people should be able to do that, and they should be able to like grind it out, and at some point they're gonna get there. But if everybody can do it, I guess it's a problem for them. I don't know if I like this balancing, just to be clear. I don't know if I like that, but I think that it should just be made hard in terms of investment. And I don't necessarily mean currency. I mean, let's say, for example, like the Wyvern skill, there's like certain transformation skills where it says like you cannot gain rage during, right? And but you want to gain rage during. Why not just make it 90% less rage gain during, and you can still get there, but it's like super hard to do, right? But you can do it if you invest a lot in terms of you have to sacrifice damage, defense, whatever, right? And you can still get it. So you can get your thematic thing. It's just going to be less powerful. And that's kind of like what I'm missing in PoE 2, where they just say cannot, right? You cannot do that. And I know it's harder to balance, but I mean, we're talking about a company that makes 100 new gloves for one ascendancy, 250 different qualities.
Yeah.
I think it would be possible to balance around that, right?
I'd be curious if part of that decision to make like such a like just immediate kind of nerf to something like that also has to do with data on how many players are actually doing that. Because, if there's like, we're nerfing this build, there's 50,000 people currently playing it, versus we're nerfing this build, there's 250 people that have this. Like, obviously that might come into some decision making of like, because I only heard about the flicker tech because I was scrolling and I saw a video on Twitter of someone post about it. I hadn't like heard of anyone talking about it yet. So maybe part of that decision to nerf that was before it became like a big thing and before it became widespread, versus like if it's already a build that a lot of people are playing, then nerfing it in the way that they did could cause like real problems and like some really, not saying it didn't, but like some like widespread complaints, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm generally not a fan of just placing a hard cap on things. Like, in some places it makes sense. Things like, block, evasion, stuff like that. It does make sense for them to put a cap on there. I think that just generally speaking, when they're balancing these things, they should make it so that, instead of just his hard cap, make it so that it's balanced at the top end. Like, Alstrom was getting onto it there with the investment thing, but it's just also like, when you get up there, like, how much of your build is this thing? And how much else do you have to do other things, right? It's like, and is it even good at that point? So that's kind of that whole, it's almost like it's a balancing act. You need to make it so that going all in on this one thing is possible, but it may not even be good. That kind of goes into the whole defenses thing in PoE 2 of like how, I want to be able to make this character that's super, super tanky. If I do, maybe I don't deal any damage, but what's the problem with that, right? Like, why not?
No, I agree.
Why not allow that?
Why not?
Doing any damage? Yeah. So I definitely want to see less of the you can't in PoE 2.
Well, and also it touches on another problem, which is then there's going to be bugged skills or bugged interactions that can instead of cannot, and all of a sudden the best builds are bugged builds, like we had last patch, like with the infinite energy comet, right? And all of a sudden you're like, you put all these guardrails for all the builds except one or two that are bugged, and now you're like, okay, so everybody else plays by different rules, and now we're screwed. And that's kind of what happens, right? I always talk about D4. Where like a build maker in D4 is just standing at the dummy, trying out every single power if it actually works the way it should work, right? And then they find this one power that gives you like a quadrillion % more damage for some reason, nobody knows why, and that's D4 build making very often, right? I'm sure you can also touch on that, Moxie, but I don't want PoE 2 to ever be that, like the bug finding game, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, PoE 2 kind of has been that so far, but that's kind of expected because we're in early access and there is a lot of bugs, and a lot of the builds do come from like, oh, here's this crazy interaction that is definitely not intended, and then I'm going to make an entire build around it because it's completely broken, right? I think we're going to definitely get away from that a bit more as we go into full launch because there's going to be less and less bugs. But yeah, it's one of those things I definitely like to see them do a bit more balancing rather than placing hard caps on things. All right, so that just about wraps up what we want to talk about today on this podcast. Moxie, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah, let people know what you're working on and where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Moxie, YouTube Moxie. Posting a lot of martial artist guides. Hopefully working on some ice shot as well. Appreciate you stopping by.
All right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be it for the PoE Report. We're signing out.